Okay, thank you, Michelle. May I have a motion to please enter back into regular session, please? Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. In executive session, we did discuss personnel matters pertaining to threatened litigation. So with that, we are now back in regular session, and we will move to under commission matters, item number 1, KXNM 88.7 FM status update and overview. Michelle, I'm sorry, did I call for a vote?
No.
Okay, all those in favor of the last motion on the table say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. And if you could just keep me on my toes on that, Michelle. Thank you so much. Mr. Swinka, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners, for letting us make this presentation. As you know, we got our special use permit for the tower and the height variance permit. Now, I'm going to give you a little thing going forward, and then Pat's going to do a PowerPoint presentation on where we're going. But once we got that permit, then we went to our attorney in Washington, D.C. and our engineer in Washington, D.C., and they have to do a minor modification to our construction permit. And the attorney said yesterday that the FCC is approving those in 5 to 6 weeks, so we're now strung out another 5 to 6 weeks down the road to get that permit approved. In the meantime, we have identified the tower that we're going to purchase. We're now putting out proposals, bid proposals for people to bid on erecting the tower, and we're going to continue to move forward and get all of the little stuff done, so the minute we get that minor modification done on the construction permit, we can move forward. And we have to do a presentation with the engineered drawings and so on to the CID, the state CID. So that's another hurdle we got to get through to get that approved. And once that's done, we're ready to start construction and put the tower up. And once the tower's up, it'll all go pretty fast from there on. But it's just to get through that. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Pat, and she'll do the PowerPoint presentation. And if there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Swinka.
So the PowerPoint presentation is really just meant to inform and make the public aware of the project in general and kind of guide discussion. So if you have questions, certainly there are several of us from the Community Foundation that are here to answer them. You can either stop me along the way or feel free to ask at the end. So we are the KXNM Community Foundation, serving the Estancia Valley and the mountain communities, and we hold a construction permit for KXNM 88.7 FM radio. It is a public educational radio station, and so it is meant purely for nonprofit use and purposes. Sorry. I think we're going to have to come back up. Sorry. Any questions?
While she does that, who in the audience is a part of the board, just so we can kind of welcome you and thank you for being here, or part of the foundation? Yoda, welcome. How are you guys? Could you introduce yourselves?
I'm Bill Sims, Vice President and
Director of the board.
Nice to meet you.
Linda Hagmar, just a member of the board.
Nice to meet you.
Leona Harriman, a member of the board.
Great. You know Mr. Swinka. How many members are on your board?
I think there's about 15
I
there.
actually have a
Do
slide
you?
that has all the board members. It's coming right along. You know, that's why in the corporate world, we're going away from PowerPoint.
What are we going to behind the curve?
Either
What's
handouts or video or just
Not Microsoft.
Behind curtain number 1, we'd like to introduce you.
exactly.
So we're going back to old school.
We're going back to old school. And I can't get back there too fast.
That's okay.
Here we go. All right, so who are we? We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. If you remember, when we originally approached the county about taking on this project, we were the partnership, and the radio group was a subset task force of the partnership. So we came to the county and asked them to be the fiscal agent. And about a year and a half or so into the process, it became apparent that it would be really better if the nonprofit radio station was in fact under the guidance of a 501c3, which is why a lot of universities, et cetera, and city governments actually do have a 501c3 nonprofit arm to take on that sort of project and have a degree of independence between the two. So we are also your friends and neighbors. The entire board, I believe, is from this area, and we're all involved in other boards, other community undertakings, and I think that's important because not only will we benefit from this because we are community members, but I think that we are broad-based enough that we have a feel for why this is a good thing for the community, how it can best suit our needs and best be used. By composition, we're everything. We're ranchers, geologists, bookkeepers, community organizers. I'm a community organizer, I decided. And we've got musicians, homemakers, animal lovers. We've got youth involved in the project. We have a youth advisory board. So we're kind of a hodgepodge. We're pretty broad-based, and we're from various sections of the county. And you can be the next member. We are open to membership, and we have both the voting board and we have advisory board status. So we are always welcoming new members. How will the X benefit? Notice we're branding our product here. We are now the X. The X is going to benefit us because it's going to improve our emergency preparedness. You will be able to be notified of storms and fires and emergency alert system. The opportunity to apply for this construction permit and an FM radio station really was coincidentally or by the fates opened by the FCC. The window of application was opened by the FCC right after we had all just been through Big Springs and Trigo and that cycle of devastating fires and evacuations and communities that were really heavily impacted. So the timing could not have been better. So we'll be able to serve the public by having the incident commanders and the sheriff's department, et cetera, be able to actually broadcast evacuation notices in a timely fashion and keep the public updated. Then it also will serve to be an education component for the public. Our public safety will be impacted because we could actually broadcast road closures to a wider public so they know when this is going to happen. If you remember, about 43% of our eligible working population out-migrates for employment in this county. So if you stop to think about what that really means, it really means that we have school-age children and seniors that have their primary caretakers working away from the county on the other side of the mountain or in Santa Fe during the day, but they come back in the evening and they're there in the morning. Well, if I-40 is going to close, or 41 is going to close, then people need to know about that, because otherwise we do have children alone and seniors alone, and it's also a question of people needing oxygen, etc. So it gives advanced notice, or will be able to give advanced notice. Heath will be able to keep us updated on law enforcement activities that might impact us. I can remember the incident in McIntosh a few years ago. There were several deputies that were pinned down, and there was a really very volatile situation, and it would be very helpful if people knew to just avoid certain areas at certain times. Our municipalities and our utilities will also be able to avail themselves of our emergency warning system and let us know if there's going to be an interruption in service, if there is going to be some sort of a special meeting that we should all be aware of and might want to attend. So it has multiple uses in that area. We also anticipate that our partners in the Partnership for a Healthy Torrance County, as well as just providers in the area, will be able to use this as an educational tool. Rewrite Adult Literacy actually has an educational curriculum in both Spanish and English on basic things that you should know for first aid, and what kind of supplies you should have on hand in your homes, etc. And it's an entire curriculum on basic health planning and how to use a thermometer, etc. Our senior citizens will have improved access to information, which, if you stop to think about it, we have a lot of senior citizens that are pretty much homebound and have pretty limited access. Many of them don't get a newspaper, and our newspapers tend to be weekly. So this gives them access to information and also gives them the ability to provide information, so that our senior program will have access to programming possibilities to inform all of us about what they are doing and how we can help the seniors that we're taking care of. We already have started putting in the can, so to speak, some teen and youth information and programming. Our last youth leadership summit, we focused on prevention messages and also a youth panel talking about issues surrounding drug abuse and use in our schools and in our communities. And so we've done 2 or 3 different things where we actually have the programming ready, and it will be used as soon as we are on the air. It's an economic development tool because we will be able to promote our local businesses and services in the area. We cannot advertise sales or pricing or that sort of thing, but we certainly can seek underwriting and sponsorship and do remote broadcasting for special events, and that raises awareness of what we have available in our own community. I know we talk a lot about economic development, but with so many of us leaving the county to work, an awful lot of our dollars, our everyday dollars, are spent outside of the county. So this is a good tool to raise awareness of what we have here and how we can use it to our own benefit. We will be looking to broadcast sporting events. Schools have booster clubs, and there are people who would be interested, we've been told, in having games recorded and then played back at a later date. And with remote broadcast capability, we can involve our youth and the officers from the booster club, etc., in special event broadcasting. Same thing holds true, not just school-related things, but for 4-H and our local parades and the various art festivals, like the Sunflower Festival that is in Mountain Air, etc. We can be available for remote broadcasting from those, and actually we've done some remote broadcasting from those events, even in Corona, to test the system and kind of educate our crew on how to best do it. And rodeo is certainly a popular venue. So how will the X benefit us? It's also going to provide us with local news and weather. We are working with a local newspaper to hopefully provide some news broadcasting throughout the day. We have an ag community that is very anxious to have agricultural reports. I believe the Schwabachs even want us to do weather stations and report.
Humidity, wind, and temperature
Is it
every half hour, so that they, as they're baling in the fields, they will have the radios on their tractors, and when the humidity gets so high, they'll know they got to stop them.
So it's a very practical application and tailored to our area. We can do community promotions again of special events, and then civic engagement hopefully will be impacted because it will allow people to actually hear commission meetings and council meetings and some of the community forums that we provide. And when we did all of those surveys, and we did a ton of surveys, everyone wants music. So music will be a big part of our programming day. So are you listening? Kind of depends on where you are, but our community of license is Encino. There's been questions about how Encino came to be our community of license. It has nothing to do with it being a population center or on a major thoroughfare. It really has to do with the FCC application because we cannot interfere with any existing broadcast signals. So we were originally looking around Klein's Corners area because there were several existing towers there that were wonderfully high and very available. And we would have been able to get on those. Unfortunately, we had direct interference with KXNW's programming, so we could not go to that area. We also then looked at the tower outside of Mountain Air, and again, it was on state land, and thought this would be great because it was far enough away that we wouldn't be back right up against the mountain, but we'd still get great coverage. And that was not available because if you go too far south, then you have direct interference with the signals from the Socorro, and I think there's a Ruidoso station that has some interference also. So in looking around, Encino was our best option. We could get high enough in Encino, and we could get enough coverage at relatively low power. This is a 40 K station, so it saves a lot of money on our electricity costs and achieves exactly the same coverage that we wanted to begin with. And we're going to pass out some coverage maps in a minute. We've been starting to run some test broadcasts using much lower wattage than we will at the time of full broadcast, but you will see on the coverage maps that we will reach Estancia, Mountainair, Willard, McIntosh, Moriarty, Edgewood, but the signal won't be as strong in Edgewood, but we will reach parts of Edgewood, and the mountain communities will all have coverage with our broadcast configuration. So here's our foundation membership. We have 4 officers. Art Swank is our current president, Bill Sims is our vice president, Abby Baker is our secretary, and Joe Honorheim is our treasurer. We have an advisory board, and on our advisory board we have Bay Baker, Lake Baker, Marilyn Stunton, and it's Tawilla Romero is on that board. And then our membership board is Blake Williams, Dixie Swanka, Debbie Ortiz, Norman Honorheim, Rhoda Godold, Gail Kite, Colleen Novotny, Dave Justier, Leota Harriman, Lad Hagemeyer, Pat Lincoln, Jane Murphy, Heath White, Cynthia Fonder, Brenda Smythe, James Yeager, Myra Pancrazio, and Jim Goodman. So it's a pretty diverse group.
Pat, I'm on there, but I'm not on there. I'm on the bottom.
Oh, you're cut. Oh, yes,
But
and
it's
Leon
okay.
Tapia. So the member of our advisory board, she's kind of under the slide. My slide got messed up sometimes, so now we have some frequently asked questions. We are frequently asked when we will be on the air. And I know it's been a long process, but it's a far more complicated process than people realize. It's certainly far more complicated than I was aware of. But with the FCC requirements and just getting a 501c3 in place, and then locating the proper equipment and finding some funding, there is a lot that goes into this project. And we have been advised by many members of the New Mexico Public Broadcasting Association that as complicated as it is, you are far better served if you put your time and effort in on the front side to do it right than have to try and make corrections after the fact. That gets very messy. So we believe we're putting the time in on the front side to do it right. The last hurdle we just got through was a conditional use permit for the tower site, which would be on the Wetterman property, and they have given us a very low cost or reasonably priced, it's not a lease, it's an easement for the property site, that being $1 in perpetuity. So talk about a good community partner. That's a very generous, supportive program. How much will it cost to operate? We're projecting right now our initial year of operation, and we are looking at $50,000 to $65,000 for the initial year of operation. We are by and large doing this on a volunteer basis. In our initial year of operation, we will probably need to add an employee, and we'll also have to have a contract engineer. And really our major costs are related to utilities. and that sort of thing. So we are looking at $50,000 to $65,000 for the initial year. We know that those costs will rise as we grow and go into expanded operations. Where are we going to get the funding? We're going to get the funding from a lot of the traditional areas that public radio and public television commonly uses. We'll do regular pledge drives. We will solicit underwriting. Again, we are not allowed to advertise, but the lines have been expanded on what is advertising and what is underwriting. So we can solicit underwriting where businesses, organizations, individuals, etc., can actually sponsor a program or equipment or whatever they would choose to sponsor. And in turn, they will be acknowledged for their underwriting. They will get so many remote broadcasts from their either their event or their place of business, etc. We'll have fundraisers. We will have community and civic support. We are hoping when we have our finalized permit in hand, we're going to be back to ask for support from municipalities and from the county and from the soil and water conservation districts, as well as some of the nonprofits, because this is infrastructure that benefits us all. And so we're hoping that everyone is willing to get in and support that in return for the service that we will provide. And we're also looking at grant funding. So there are multiple ways to do this. We want to thank our